In this video, we're going to discuss Tailwind hover effects and how you can use them in your projects. So we're just going to copy all of this. One second. Okay, so here's all of the things we have. And we are going to discuss how to do hover effects. So we have a little opacity change here, color change here, a little bit of a color change here, here. This one is a zoom in, it zooms in. This one zooms out. This one adds a little shadow. This one makes it magnified. This one adds a little gradient color to it. This one adds a little twist. These are some hover underlines and then hover buttons. So just looking at the classes for these, so the first one, what's creating this effect is this hover opacity 20. So hover and then opacity 20 you apply to right here. It's applied to the href that's in the image. I think you can apply it also to the image itself. So if we apply it here, yes, it works that way as well. So you can apply it to the image or an a tag within the image if you want. However you want to do that. So next is another opacity, just opacity 40. It's same thing. You can apply it to the image or you can apply it to the a tag, so you can link the image to something else. Next is opacity 40 with so transition opacity duration. So we're adding this whole class right here, background indigo 600 opacity 0 Z10. So if we change that if we take that entire class, cut it and add it to the image, get rid of the Z index. We don't need the Z index. Okay. All right. Opacity 0. Change this to opacity. Wait, let's see. It can't be absolute and relative. It can only be one or the other, so we'll change that. Get rid of relative, I guess, as well. Yeah, I don't know. You have to play around with this. Oh, height. It can't be two heights. It can't be height auto and height full. We'll do height auto. Can't be two widths, so get rid of this width. Yeah. Max width, small. We don't need a max width. Maybe get rid of opacity 0. Yeah, and there you can see the hover opacity. But I guess if you want to add the color with the opacity, you have to use this custom section that they did with the A tag within it. That's just the way that it's built. So, yeah, I'll just separate these so you can see them. There's this one. There's this one. So these are all the same pattern. It's just they changed the color to what the background color is. So that's nice. So if you want to use these components in your code, you can go to pagedone.io and then the component that you want, which these are hover effect components. And you can use any of the ones you want here. You can put these in your code wherever you want and mess around with them however you want. So that's pretty nice. Now if we go down here, this is a zoom a scale. So it's hover scale 110. It's on the image. So yeah, it's pretty simple actually. You really don't actually need any of this stuff. You just need the image. Yeah, and it scales it right there for you. Pretty nice. And the next one is a zoom out scale. It's hover scale 100. Yeah, so to do that, you don't need any of these. It's just the image. It zooms out for you. So this one zooms in. This one zooms out. Zooms out. Zooms in. Zooms out. Zooms in. Okay, pretty cool. Next one is this one is a hover shadow. So this is hover shadow gray. You can make this hover shadow blue 400. So it adds a little blue shadow, and you can change the shadow intensity to maybe 2XL. So it looks even bigger, or 3XL. Actually, 2XL is the biggest. So this is 2XL shadow. If you want that shadow to be even bigger than that, you can go to custom Tailwind or CSS, custom Tailwind shadow. Yeah, you can use a tool like this, and it will give you so if you want a really big shadow, I guess these are all not that big, but see this one's kind of big, so that one, yeah. Actually, let's do a custom shadow generator. So the color will be orange. So that's a pretty big shadow right there. So 20. We can make this 40. Make that 40. Make this 40. That's a huge shadow. So you can use this aceternity.com to create some pretty big shadows. And then all you do is you take the Tailwind, copy the Tailwind code, and put it into your thing. So we're going to get rid of this, which is the shadow that we currently have, and add that. And it doesn't like that for some reason. So let's get rid of this and just create a new div. Div class equals height 96, width 96, background black. Yeah, we got our div right there. We can center it as well. Margin X auto. Okay. And so we want to add this class to add the background shadow to it. So we go in here, we copy the Tailwind code, we plug it in. Oh, we need to make it do we need to make it a hover? So that is not working for whatever reason. So let's figure that out. Let's do it in vanilla CSS. We got the vanilla CSS, and we're going to plug that in. We're going to give it a class of background shadow, and add that class here. Background shadow, and then plug in this attribute here and do that. See if it works now. Still doesn't work. Maybe this site is not that great at figuring that out for you. So let's go to just standard CSS hover shadow. So yeah, we're going to add this class right here. Plug this in. So we're going to keep it that background shadow, and then we're going to call it background shadow regular and background shadow hover. So the width, we're going to change the background color to black. Width is, make it 400 by 400. We don't need to have this height and width anymore. Just keep the margin auto and the background shadow. And then there, it adds the shadow, but it also, we got to get rid of this transition. Why is it resizing? Oh, it's a drop shadow. We just want to make it a regular shadow. Box shadow. We want a box shadow. There, we got a nice shadow going there now. And we can change the intensity of it right here with a 40, 40, 40. See, now it's a big shadow. And we can make the RGB, or we can make the color red. No, that didn't work. Guess we got to do RGBA. So red. So let's look at the RGBA colors. So we have RGBA is that. So we plug that in. And then that's a nice thing, but let's say we want to make this 100. Adds a little color there. So we can actually do this, and we can pick a different color here. Pick a nice red. And it's got a nice red. So that's how you do the box shadow. And I think you can make this another 40 pixel here. And it makes it even bigger. So you can play around with it a little bit. Let's say you want to make this 20 pixel. That could look good too. So I don't know how to make it to the left there. Let's see. So box shadow CSS. Box shadow. So you can change the location of the way it sits this way, but it looks like by default it sits to the bottom right of the container, which is fine, I guess. We don't need to figure it out any more than that for now. But yeah, you can see how you can add a nice little box shadow, and you can make it on hover. So this is on hover right here. If you don't want it on hover, you just get rid of this hover class, and it'll just be that way consistently. It'll always stay that way. So adding this hover pseudo selector allows you to make it on hover like that. So going further, we have this one, which is it's a scale. So hover scale 125 is nice. This is a hover background gradient. So we're adding changing the background color with a hover. So you can see that right here. You add that class to your div. Works pretty nicely. Next one's a little twist. So that's a hover rotate 6. A hover scale 110 and rotate 6. So you can add that class. And then we got these these underlines you can add. Just hover. It should be right here. It says it's hover. It's different than usual, but normally you can just do hover colon underline, and that will allow you to do that. And then also there's these buttons here, so they're group hovers. So these are kind of custom classes. So if you want to actually get access to all this, like I said, go to pagedone.io /docs/hover effect, and you can get all these hover effects and play around with them yourselves and do that. And then you can also look things up on Mozilla Docs to do hover effects here, and you can check out the demo box shadow and stuff like that. I'd say box shadow is the most popular hover effect, along with underline, and I'd say box shadow and underline are the two of the most popular hover effects. So let's just practice that one more time. Let's make a new div here, and do div class equals height, or height. Let's just do a div class of background shadow. We're using regular CSS here. Background shadow. Okay, and it's got that nice hover effect right there because of that CSS class that we added right here. And then also we can go in h1 class equals text white, and then hover underline. So this is hover underline, text, make it a little bit bigger, so text 6XL, and then h1. You can see it underlines it right there. So on hover you get this, and hover you get that. So you can hover that, and you get this nice hover effects. So that's great. Let me know if you have any questions. We can go over this any other way that you want to. You can use this in many different ways. For instance, on our coders site, we use a hover effect on these boxes right here. These is a custom hover effect. And for this one, we actually did get it to cover the whole width and bottom of each div that it covers. So yeah, you can look into that, how you do that. Maybe we'll try that one more time. Let's see if we can do custom box shadows. See, this looks like it does that bottom right. I'm trying to get it to cover the whole thing. It looks like it just wants to sit bottom right. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it to cover the whole thing. Here's 95 beautiful CSS box shadows. So this one covers the whole thing. Let's check this one out. Yeah, that's a very complicated one. We're going to add that to here. And we're going to make this MX auto. And yeah, that box shadow covers the whole thing, but we need to change the actual, make it 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. So yeah, okay, it does that, but see, its default is that it wants to go off to the bottom right. So you'll have to figure out how to get that to sit where it covers. See, okay, this is the bottom left. So that one goes to the bottom left. This one's cool. It goes all the way back. So let's try that one. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. It adds a little back. It goes a little, like, it goes back into infinity. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, so you can play around with this. This is another one, getcssscan.com. They've got a bunch of different options for CSS hover or box shadows. Then there's boxshadow.dev, where you can create your own box shadow here. So make this background color of red. I guess black. And then the shadow. Yeah, you can just play around with this. There's many different ways to do this. And there's different ways to skin a cat here. So just play around with it and see whatever you can do with the hover effects and the box shadows. And yeah, thanks.